No, no, no traigas ese gato.
Yes, we're forgetting someone. This is Papa Shark, the angel. How cute. Bye-bye. And this is Chanel. And okay, I'm gonna hold it. He's gonna hold it. Look, he's gonna
Yeah,
hold it. He's gonna
bájalo.
hold it. Look.
So my kids feel that it's unfair the reason why he's going through these things, and he tells us every single day. So they don't understand how crazy it is that he doesn't have the right food or the right nutrition, or that he can sleep right like us, or that he can do things just like us, or why he's locked up for so long or so many hours, or he can't go outside. Why can't we see him more often or talk to him more often? And my kids ask me every day for him, like when he doesn't call throughout the day, and they say, oh, has he called? Oh, has Angel called? Oh, has Angel called? And I tell them, no, he doesn't call. He hasn't called. So when he is able to call, he calls really late when they can't even speak to him anymore. It's very difficult.
And I think a margin that they're not talking about, they blame the COVID, like that's happening within the inmates, like it's an inmate to inmate issue. But the reality is these inmates can't, the ones that are in there, especially some of our loved ones that have the higher charges are in a specialized area, they haven't left Metro West. You know, they haven't been in contact with the outside world. However, corrections leaves Metro West on a daily basis. Go home, go to Christmas dinners, get in contact with individuals with COVID, come back into the cells, having COVID, not reporting it, infecting our loved ones, and no one's talking about that. Like, no, this is just an inmate issue. That's all you hear. But in reality, a lot of our loved ones contracted COVID from corrections.
When COVID started, you know, these jails had, or these cells had, usually between 50 and 70 people per cell. And so if you just imagine, I would say the cell is maybe double the size of this room that we're sitting in. And inside of that, there were 70 people. And so, you know, there's absolutely no ability to social distance. The way that the jail is set up is that there's kind of like, there's all these bunks on the outside, and then in the middle is like a little seating area where people, there's a couple TVs, people gather there and watch TV. Sometimes people might eat at those little tables over there. But yeah, like during the, like, you know, out here you know, like I'm at home most of the time, I stay away from people. Inside of the jail system, you're literally crammed in these cells with dozens of other people. People are constantly coming in and out of the jail. Corrections officers are constantly coming in and out of the jail. And so as a result, you know, people inside are always at risk of catching it. And so, you know, there's the fact that, you know, people don't have hand sanitizer, people have, you know, there's no like laundry detergent. So people are basically getting these like little bars of state soap and crushing them up in order to wash their clothes. Laundry machines and dryers are constantly not working. And so people are wearing wet clothes, which makes them sick. And even just in normal times, you know, there were people, like I've talked to people even before the virus started, where they would be getting MERS because they were in such close quarters with other people. It was just constant outbreaks of different kinds of diseases that happen inside of the jail system. And so, you know, that's kind of, I think at Metro West, in addition to that, people's food is horrible. People end up with like high blood pressure, diabetes, all of these different types of diseases that they didn't have before they went into the jail system.
So here on this email, when I emailed Miami-Dade County, the mayor, they referred us to the Human Resources Department, which I don't know why they would do that, but they wrote us back saying that the request for the emergency release of the inmates we wrote to the Miami-Dade Commission on Human Rights wrote back to us on the complaint. And they said that they didn't have the ability to further process the complaint. So they put us to go ahead and handle it with the state attorney's office, that they were the ones in charge that could handle it, or corrections department. And they said that accordingly, they had closed the complaint due to lack of jurisdiction. So these people are the Commission on Human Rights in general. Human rights for the county. Human rights for the employees that work for the county. And the Human Resources Department. And they say that they lack the ability to help humans, basically. So they brush me off and they send me off to the state attorney's office, which is against us, against all the inmates, because they're the ones that lock the people up. So what help is that if they send us to the state attorney? And if they send us to talk to corrections department to Daniel Jr., that obviously we know he's not doing anything. So where does this go? Where does this leave us? Leaves us in nothing. In the end, in zero. You know, back to square one. The COVID numbers keep rising. Correctional officers are still sick. They come in and out. They're putting sick people into the dorms where the good people are at, you know, they're negative. And there's still no social distancing. They're not following guidelines. They still don't have anything to sanitation. They sanitize like once a day. But the inmates themselves, they can't distance and they don't have anything for themselves to be able to sanitize themselves. Like, you know, sanitizer or Clorox or anything to be able to maintain their areas clean. So it's still a big issue right now. And they're still blending in people, sick people with good people. And the correctional officers, they got to do a job. So they're practically obligated to go to work even if they test positive. And right now, Metro West Detention Center is covering up that and lying to the news, lying to the judges, lying to everyone that everything is fine and they're following the CDC guidelines, which they're not. You know, and I mean, somebody needs to be held accountable for that. I believe the warden and the director for Metro Dade, you know, and he doesn't want to give his face. He's hiding in his office and he tells his assistants to pick up the phone calls and the emails, but he still has not given us the face or to face anyone regarding all the issues that have arisen at the facility. I still haven't seen him speak once on the media, on TV. Not yet. I'm still waiting for that. And it hasn't happened. And, you know, we've been dealing with this for months now. Mm-hmm. We want him home, right?
Yes.
Good. Enseña la táctica.
And Angel, this is what I made you. See? I love you so much.
I think if people have loved ones who are currently incarcerated or people who have loved ones who have been incarcerated in the jail system in Miami, it would be amazing if people reached out, because one of the things that we've seen is that when people try to do things by themselves, they just get ignored. When people try to file grievances inside of the jails about the conditions, they face retaliation. And I think that the only way that people can actually do something about the way that this system works is by coming together and trying to address it as a collective. I just think it's too, so I guess my answer to that would be that people should reach out to us and see how they can get involved if they've had a loved one who's been incarcerated in the Miami jail system.